Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Married Ino Till Death, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Previously, maybe I had my hopes too high, I knew she had to be joking, he thought sadly as he walked quietly with his friends. Naruto. Her voice screamed from across the other side of the building. She was running up to him with her hair flowing beautifully in a ponytail behind her. Her long bangs flew off to the side, exposing her full face that glowed under the sunlight. You weren't going to leave me alone waiting for you, were you? She asked sadly once she reached him. Naruto stared wide-eyed at the girl he had given his heart to and couldn't find any words to say as his mouth fell open slightly. Hello Ino, Neji greeted Ino with a bow while Gaara did it as well. Ino, what a lovely surprise to see you here with us, Lee said, smiling happily at her. Yeah, lovely surprise, Kiba murmured with his arms crossed over his chest. It's nice to see you guys too, Ino said happily before turning to look at Naruto, who kept staring at her. She smiled at him before she grabbed his hand, which caused him to blush. I'm sorry Naruto, that this happened to you, she said apologetically. I was thinking that maybe it's best if, she paused looking at the floor slightly before facing him once again, we should avoid one another. That was when he felt his heart break. Couldn't she hear it cracking and falling down toward the ground? Couldn't she hear the millions and billions of pieces as it shattered onto the floor? He was looking at her, but couldn't see her. But he started as his hand tightened his grip around her hand. I don't want to avoid you. This time he didn't degrade himself or screamed at himself, because this was his last and only chance. If he was going to lose her, then he'd risk everything, his pride, his feelings, himself. His friends stared at him in shock, but composed themselves. Ino stared at Naruto and she was truly happy in the inside. She didn't want to show it, at least not yet, she wanted to test the poor guy first. It's just like what you said, Ino reminded him, you and I are two different people. She paused to see the hurt in his eyes, and when people see us, they don't like it. I admit that I like you Naruto, but, she couldn't help but feel as if she was breaking up with him and it made her giggle inside. We shouldn't talk to each other again, okay? No. Naruto said with no hesitation as he grabbed both her hands and held them tightly inside his own. He could hear the seriousness in her tone, but her eyes were deceiving her. He could see the light dancing across her eyes and hoped that this was just a trick. I don't care what happens to me Ino, but I will not avoid you nor will I stop talking to you. I love you, he admitted out in the open and his face didn't even blush red. Ino was surprised, as well as his friends, from the openness, the confession from Naruto. He actually admitted that he had feeling for her, not just liking, but more than that. Ino's face suddenly rushed with heat as she tried to suppress it down. Good, Ino finally said, gaining a confused look from Naruto. She smiled at him, before looking toward the person calling out her name. Ino, come on troublesome woman, the ponytailed male said, we need to head home. Coming, Ino said, nodding toward him before turning back to see Naruto staring at their hands. So, Naruto said sheepishly as his feet shuffled together. Naruto, she said softly, leaning toward him. He looked up to see her face mere inches from his and he almost leaned in, until she moved her head. She kissed him on the cheeks and ran off toward Shikamaru. So, you two together or what? Kiba asked, interested as he stared at the blonde beauty walking happily beside a confused Shikamaru. I really don't know, Naruto said, laughing happily before walking off, sighing dreamingly. Things are going to get worse, Gaara spoke softly behind Naruto, who walked ahead of the three. The guys nodded in agreement, all with different thoughts going on in their minds, but one. What is going to happen next? Ino, Shikamaru said as he slouched against the couch, you know this isn't good, right? He knew what was going on his best friend's mind. After all, they knew each other way too long. Yeah, but, I really like him, Ino admitted, smiling while eating a small cup of pudding. Shikamaru just sighed as he looked toward her. She looks happy and he was happy for that, but how long will that happiness last? Just be careful, Shikamaru reminded her, you don't want the same thing to happen like Choji. He stopped hearing a ting. He turned to see her spoon on the tiled floor of the open kitchen. He noticed the sadness in her eyes and the gloominess radiating off of her. Shikamaru scolded himself for forgetting that that memory was supposed to be left untouched. Sometimes he even wondered how he was named the lazy genius. Of course I don't want the same thing to happen, I remember it every day, Ino said sadly looking off to the side staring at nothing in particular. Shikamaru could see the faraway look in her eyes and he let out a soft sigh staring at the ceiling. He's such a nice guy, I really loved him Shika, the blonde stated softly not looking at her friend, I wonder how he's doing. She gave off a soft sigh making the dark-haired man look toward her. She gave him a sad smile as she stood. She left her half-eaten pudding on the table and sat beside her best friend. He's probably happy, Shikamaru decided to say as Ino laid her head against his shoulder. I'm glad, she mumbled softly feeling the emptiness creep up inside her once again. What happened wasn't your fault Ino, her best friend assured her with a comforting arm around her lithe form, he just had to leave. Yeah, I guess so, the blonde beauty finally said after a small silence, though they both knew either wise. He was threatened and almost cared because of her. She didn't want that to happen to anyone else, but Naruto, he said he'd fight through thick and thin just to be with her. She was extremely moved by his seriousness and wondered if she should take the chance. Shika, Ino spoke softly sitting up, do you think Naruto should stay away from me? Ino, Shikamaru said as if she was crazy for asking that question. Come on Shika, Ino said punching him on the arm. She was serious and really wanted to know what her genius friend thought about the situation. Well, he began as he sat up as well, if he wanted to, he won't be able to avoid you, he smirked seeing his friend smile, because you're a pest. I'm a what? Ino's smile became an angry frown as she smacked her long-time friend on the back of the head. Ow. The dear lover said, I was only joking, jeez. What are you doing here Nara? A voice called out and both teenagers looked up to see her father. Hello Yamanaka-san, Shikamaru said, I was just helping Ino with her studying after we have a snack. Oh, okay, Onoiki said to him, then looked off to his daughter, Princess, I have a surprise for you. Really? Ino said shocked and confused. She doesn't really like surprises, but if her dad got her something, it should be good right? Here it is, he exclaimed holding out a wrapped box. The box was wrapped in the color of glittery blue and the ribbon was a hot pink color. She took it hesitantly and opened it slowly. Wow, she stated as she took out the beautiful dress inside. It was a typical sundress, but was almost formal as well. It was a white color with yellow fabric over it making the dress looks flowy. The design was of flowers the color of yellow, brown, and orange. The dress was really perfect for autumn. She put it against herself and it went just short above her knees. It's so pretty daddy, she said looking at him with a bright smile, thank you. You're welcome sweetie, her dad said enveloping her in a hug, would you wear that on your date? Date, Shikamaru and Ino said in unison as they looked toward one another then at her dad. Yeah, I set up a blind date for you. Her father said excitedly as he took off his coat. With who? Ino decided to say not really liking the dress now. Hun, it's a blind date so you won't know until then, Onoiki said walking into the kitchen and grabbing an apple. But why daddy, why did you set me up on a date? She asked confused. Her father wasn't the type to set up dates, or even let her date to be honest so this was a bit confusing. Oh just go along with it okay dear. He pleaded her and she just gave him a smile that said, okay. Good, I'm heading off to my room okay. He said walking toward his bedroom and closing the door behind him. This is weird, Shikamaru stated before the phone rang. Hello, Ino asked only to hear a familiar voice. Ino, is Shikamaru there? We have to meet now. I got bad news. Previously. Hello, Ino asked only to hear a familiar voice. Ino, is Shikamaru there? We have to meet now. I got bad news. She kissed me, he thought happily as he lay on his bed. He couldn't help smiling though it was only a kiss on the cheek, which was close enough. He lifts his hand to touch the cheek that occupied the kiss and smiled wider. He confessed to her, actually put his heart on the line and she accepted him, actually accepted him. He sighed again happily and closed his eyes to replay the day's event once again. Though he got into a fight, he didn't care because it all led to her being there with him, holding hands, and her kissing his cheek. His face heated up as he let out a slight chuckle. Maybe I am hooked, he said softly as he stared up at his ceiling. You a buddy? Kiba said leaning against the door frame with a worried look. Are you sure you'd go through hell and back just to see her? Yeah, I would, the blonde said as he stared directly at his friend. He wasn't lying and needed to tell his friend that no matter what happens, he'd do anything for her. You'd even put her above your friends? Kiba asked angrily. This girl was just one girl and she already has him wrapped around her tiny pinky. No, he hesitated a bit, but froze his stare at Kiba who just glared at him. Liar, he stated angrily. Why are you calling me a liar? What the hell with all the damn questions? Naruto exclaimed defensively. This wasn't like Kiba at all, he should be comforting and pushing him to do this, but he isn't. Because you'd do anything to be with her and if that means to leave us behind then you would. Wouldn't you? He screamed at the blonde who looked at him in shock then at the floor. He has a point, Naruto thought to himself sadly. That's what I thought, Kiba murmured out looking away from his blonde friend. He knows he should be more approving, but this was Yamanaka Ino and she brings trouble. Sorry, Kiba finally said ending the silence. Nah, hey Kiba, Naruto said looking up at his friend's chocolate eyes, you think I should stay away from her, right? He asked. Kiba could see the sad look in his eyes and the hope flickering shortly. He could see the sad small Naruto from back when they were kids. This was probably the second time he saw his friend like this. The first time was when he lost his parents, and now this. He knew what Naruto wanted to hear and he knew Naruto knows what he really was going to say. Kiba rubbed his head before turning away from Naruto. I can't really tell you what to do, you know that, Kiba started as he took a couple of steps out the door, but, you really love her, so, don't let anyone get in your way, even me. Wow, coming from Inuzuka Kiba, Naruto said before laughing shortly, thanks. Yeah, Kiba said as he turned back around to face his blonde friend. Now, let's talk about the party tomorrow. Wait, party? Naruto asked almost angry and almost laughable. Kiba stared at him as if what he said was all too new or something. Naruto looked like he was torn between something and Kiba wondered what it could be. Yo, you okay? He asked. It's just that, I was gonna ask Ino out, Naruto murmured lowly, but Kiba heard. Why are you asking her out during the week? Wait, asks her to the party then. Kiba said grinning at Naruto who grinned right back. I will, he exclaimed happily as they plopped themselves down on the couch and began planning. Shikamaru and Ino knocked on the door of Shino's wondering what the emergency was. Shino opened the door and nodded at the two as they walked in. He closed the door softly and locked it before sitting down. So what's up? Ino asked curiously as she eyed everyone. Ino, Tenten begun, the letter, did you bring it? She asked cautiously. Ino hesitated as she thought about it. I actually didn't bring it, why? That letter is important Ino, Kabuto spoke up. It may link us to who took that picture. Oh, we rushed over here after the call so, Ino left the rest of the sentence hang in the air. Everyone seemed so tense and it felt weird to Ino to have her friends in this state. Where's Hinata? The blonde asked noticing her friend was missing. She wasn't able to leave, Sai said before continuing, do you remember what the letter says, beautiful? Ino tried to remember as her eyes drifted to the ceiling, the walls, their faces. Why were they all staring at her? It uneased her and she couldn't concentrate. I can't remember, she finally said as she scratched her head. Tenten, do you remember? Shino asked as all eyes fell on her. Yes, she nodded, since I was there with Ino when she read it. She took a deep breath before she continued informing everyone about what was written inside the letter. My dearest and my beautiful blonde. I have always loved you, but you never seem to notice me. What do I have to do for you to notice me? I know it may be my fault that I never make myself known, but not this year. I will be noticed by you. Since you're reading this letter, I am noticed here. I promise you I will do something extravagant that you won't be able to tear your eyes away from me. I will keep you with me forever, or alive. I love you. And that's all that was written. Tenten finished and Ino looked at her in shock. Whoa, You remember it word for word? She asked, impressed. Tenten just grinned at her, while Shikamaru spoke up. He didn't put his name on it. He asked, and Tenten shook her head. Suspicious. Why would this person, I'm assuming is a male, want to be noticed without writing his name on it? Wouldn't that be the easiest way to be known? Sai asked, confused. I agree, Kabuto said while everyone else nodded as well. I wonder if he's in one of my class and I just never saw him, Ino said out loud as she pondered. Maybe, but there is something else, Shino said as he looked over to Kin. I was watching Roy, so I can get some dirt on him, she said as the air got tenser. He asked me on a date. What? Everyone screamed, confused, angry, and downright in shock. Yeah, Kin continued, he said that since I was stalking him, it must mean that I like him, so I just took the bait, she said, only to assure that in order to find out what really is going on. But why do you have to go out with him? Tenten asked after recovering from the shock. Haven't you heard? She asked with a smirk, keep your friends close, and keep your enemies closer. So, you and Roy are dating now, Ino said softly, and she sounded sad, though she didn't want to. No, more like using him, as revenge for what he did to you, she said, winking at Ino, who returned it with a small smile. Roy, you're going to make her fall for you, aren't you? She said to herself as she continued to listen to what was happening. Ino, I heard from someone that you kissed Naruto, Kabuto had said, watching her reaction. She smiled at him with a small blush over her cheeks. Well, only on the cheek, Ino informed them, but it seems to make everything worse. You shouldn't play with him, Ino, Shino said as Ino stared at him confused. What makes you think I'm playing with him? She asked a tad bit angrily. It'll only bring more trouble for you and mostly him, Kabuto stated. Ino just stared at them and knew what they said was true, but, she tried to finish, but her mind wouldn't stop moving. Just because she doesn't feel that way about you guys, Kin had said, gaining glares at her. She smirked right back and noticed Ino looking even more confused than before. Are you sure you still want to be friends with Naruto when it may cause him to leave? Shino continued, but ended it knowing the result if he continued. Ino sat silent, but then smiled a sad smile at him as she nodded her head softly. They gave off a sigh, knowing this year may be the death of them, and are young too. Before we end this meeting, Shikamaru continued, Ino is having a blind date that her father set her up with. He finished to see inevitable shock in everyone's eyes, but Ino's. Your father actually, Kabuto left his sentence hangs as Ino nodded, giving him a smile. Wait, Kin interrupted, when is your date? She asked as if she is plotting something good. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking it'll be during the weekend. Why? Ino asked, noticing the sparkle in Kin's eyes. Because my dear Ino, she said with a smirk, let's double date. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.